I need an agenda.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's 6 p.m., so we're gonna start the board meeting. And if everyone could stand with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Jen, could you take roll?
Samantha,
Here.
Jeremy,
Here.
Ray,
Here.
Ruby,
Here. All right, everyone's here. She did say Natalia first. Figured it. All right, moving on. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
May have one slight change to the printed agenda. I need to make sure that the printed agenda has, because we published it, and we have an action item for the board to vote into, recommending going into contract negotiations with Brick. The printed one did not have it on there. So
one
I just-
does have the correct one, but I can read it.
okay, just want to make that note. Thank you.
All right, so with that,
Move to approve the consent agenda with the changes that are on the board book version of it.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Hearing none, move into a vote. Go ahead, Jen, take that vote.
Natalia,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Aye.
Samantha,
Aye.
Ruby, Ray.
All right, motion passes. Now we have presentations. SHS leadership, is that you?
Yes,
Welcome.
hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robbie Manili, and I would like to update you on some events happening at Sharon High School. For homecoming activities, they start next week with an assembly on Monday to announce our homecoming court. We have dress-up days planned for next week, and we will have our noise parade and Spartan Olympics on Thursday, October 23rd. Homecoming dance is on Friday, October 24th, after the football game. For our music, the music program had their fall concert last night and it went very well. For soccer, they had their senior night last night. They had 4 players who are graduating, and they are looking forward to their last few games of the season. Football plays Regis on Saturday. Homecoming is next week on October 24th versus Corvette, and senior night is on October 31st. For cross country, they're heading to Harrisburg tomorrow and districts on October 29th. For volleyball, their senior night is tonight, then their last few games of the season. Cheer, there are 4 cheerleaders who tried out for All-State. Long Curl made it to finals and will be competing Saturday. Fall competition starts next month. FFA is taking 20 students to a soils contest in Amity on Thursday. Fall officer elections will begin announced in November. They're having their chapter meeting this Friday. For our other clubs, Mr. Coyle's Gaming Club meets every Wednesday after school. Mrs. Hanson's Nail Club meets once a month during lunch. Their first meeting was a success. Rotary is hosting an esports tournament on November 8th. This is for students grade 6 through 12. There is no cost for students to register. The winning prize money will be first place 300, second place 200, and third place 100. This is my report for the month. Do you have any questions?
Very thorough. You did a great job. I do have a quick question about cross country. How many kids do we have competing in
I
that?
believe we have 2 girls and 4 boys to 6.
Good testing. Questions from anyone else?
All right, thank you very much for your guys' time.
Thanks for coming.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, did we get any public input today?
None.
All right, we'll move into our admin report. We start with Patrick Schrader from the high school.
That's me. I feel weird about having the microphone.
All of us feel weird.
I love it. Thanks again for having me. So Pretty brief report, just being started for the school year. Just wanted to report that our school started really well for us. I shared some enrollment numbers. You can see our freshman class is our heavy class right now with about 63 students. Sophomore class being our smallest, and then sophomores, juniors, seniors kind of being balanced right there around 40. But that freshman class is quite large for us. 63 of us, to the point where when we did scheduling, I had to add extra sections of those freshman required courses. So that kind of ate up. Unfortunately, that does eat up sometimes in the elective offerings, because then we have to offer those core classes. And it is kind of challenging when you do see a spike in one grade level that does that. Same thing we saw last year with so few seniors, it shifted things around. So predictability is a little difficult from year to year right now, it seems like to me. Just an update on our cell phone stuff. We have, it's gone really, some teachers are reporting that it is going really smoothly. We're seeing very little pushback with students. We'll see, we just for some reason, I think I'll introduce Mr. Allen here in a second, our dean of students, but we're seeing kind of on a weekly, we'll see be quiet, and then we'll see a little bump, like kids I don't know if it's almost like they need their fix, and they get kind of they get the jitters, and then we have those conversations, and that's right. So we'll see how that continues to do. But right now, it's going very well. I did share, as promised, we were able to get our STAR screening reports done for math and reading. I did a crash course on what these mean from Mr. Delati, because he's an expert at these. They're relatively new to me. But what you can see there about math and reading. In the math in particular, what I'm excited to see is as our students progress, it's two parts to it. You can see that the number of kids in the red starts to decrease, but also it's often important to look inside the data, not just look at the data, but look inside it. And kids are required to take 3 years of math, not 4. So for that senior, once kids meet those, if they're not math kids, they're not looking at a 4-year option as we really push them to take that 4 credit in math if they're looking at a university. But for a lot of students, they're like, I've got my 3 credits in math, I'm done. So those seniors we see in math are those kids that are looking at that 4-year option and probably have confident math skills, would probably be the best way to say it. And what will be important for me, as this is the first year I've really had a chance to look at this data, is that growth, what we see in the spring. So this is our baseline that we're working with for our goal setting with teachers about where we want to see kids grow over the year. And you don't get to see it, but I have names attached to all those lines. So we can target instruction for those kids. I look forward to using this data, because like I said, it's relatively new to me, how to use it. Again, high school kids are pretty savvy. They know they don't necessarily, this is not a graduation requirement. It's something we ask them to do, so we have information to make informed decisions. So we have to trust that they're not just clicking a button. Unlike at the elementary level where they still are kind of rule followers. High schoolers can be a bit rebellious. So I did ask the math teachers, I was a little wondering about why there was a lot of kids in math that hadn't been tested. I don't know if you saw that. And we're looking into that. That's something else, again, looking into the data rather than just at it, wondering if kids were strategically absent on those days or not. That's something we gotta look more into. So I can then, knowing that when we get to spring, I think we can make some strategies to make sure that more kids get tested during that time. So, but it's exciting to know, to look at it, but it is nice to see that we do have a lot of students who are at the benchmark already at the beginning of the school year. So that's good to see. So the expert Adam said, I said, is this good? And he said, it's very good. He felt like I would be happy to report this. So I'll take his word for it. One of the few times I was kidding. I promised that I'm gonna bring up Mr. Ballard again. This is Roman Ballard, he's our new dean of students. He comes to us from Tillamook, and he's currently doing his admin program, so he's working on his administrative credentials at this time. But he has a extensive experience in Northwest Regional ESD, which is where it serves Tillamook. And they have a really strong 9th grade on track work that they do regionally there, and he brought that expertise to us to the point where we're working with the ESD, and when he met with the ESD a few weeks back, they were like, we need the ESD, we're like, we need to learn more. So he took the ESD people to the Northwest Regional, so he hosted them. He was out for the day, but I thought it was important for the ESD to support us as well. They had this work. So he's gonna talk a little bit about what the 9th grade on track, 9th grade success, with interchangeable terminology, but he's gonna share with you that.
So I just want to kind of give you a quick overview of kind of what this is. So the purpose of 9th grade success is to increase the number of students completing their 9th grade year with on-track status. And what on-track means is a student failed one or less core classes, so meaning like English, social studies, science, math, those kind of things. Okay? On-track students are more than 4.5 times more likely to graduate high school in a 4-year period, which we want for all kids. The aim statement of the 9GS network, which is essentially a bunch of school districts who are working on these, initiatives together. Collectively, the goal is by June 2029, all schools in the 9GS network will have a 93% average on-track rate for all students and 90% on-track rates for every focal group of students. Focal groups include Black, Latinx, Native American, Pacific Islander, and those experiencing poverty. So the whole why this thing got started, it started about 8 years ago, and there was a lot of research that was done that showed how crucial the 9th grade year is. It's pretty much the make or break year. So I found kind of a quote that kind of sums that up. It says researchers have shown the freshman year is the make or break year for high school graduation. Students who receive more than one F in a semester during their freshman year are very unlikely to graduate, even if they boast solid academic records before high school. And if 9th grade is the make or break year for high school graduation, then it's also the pivotal year for a shot at the middle class. High school graduates earn roughly $670,000 more over the course of a lifetime than high school dropouts do. They're more likely to vote, volunteer, and participate in other aspects of civil society. They're less likely to live in poverty or be institutionalized in a prison or mental hospital. They're healthier, they live longer. In short, a high school diploma is the first line of defense against the corrosive effects of poverty. It's no exaggeration to say that 9th grade is a life or death proposition. So that's why we're putting so much time, effort, and energy into this going forward. So how we are improving on-track numbers, obviously we're in the infancy of getting this off the ground here, but things we've done in the past, we're going to schedule monthly meetings with the 9th grade team to talk about targeted interventions and supports for individualized students, and looking at every student as a person holistically and not just their grades, because they're more than that. And we have to meet their needs as a person, or we can meet their needs as a student. Okay? So we're going to bring in all kinds of different ways. All the core teachers, we're going to have like somebody from the SPED department, and pretty much anybody with knowledge of the student, we welcome to come to these meetings. The more information we have, the better we can serve them. We want to increase student agency and voice. So we've talked about identifying student leaders who can assist in change ideas. One of the big kind of concepts behind the 9GS work is we're not going to change a kid. We need to change our systems to better serve the kids. And that's what we're going to do as a team, kind of just collectively brainstorm all these kind of interventions and come up to better serve our clientele. And then some of those examples would be like equitable grading practices. So when I was at the Northwest Regional thing last week, I went to like an hour-long breakout session on equitable grading practice. So I can bring that back to the team, and that can be a conversation we have about how we can better serve our kids in our classes. Getting more kids involved and taking ownership of their high school experience, getting them some say in how it goes. And then implementing the discovery protocol as far as discipline goes, which involves a lot of restorative practices. Not so much an adult talking down to a kid, but two people working together to solve the problem that's happening. He kind of covered the rest of it. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
So given the discovery protocol that's going to be across the board for like all teachers and stuff.
We're working on it, like getting there, yeah. So like, basically, if a kid's being a dingbat in class, it's like, hey, knock it off, you know? That's your first strike. 2 would be kind of another verbal warning, but in a more firm tone. The third strike would be, hey, wait out in the hall for me, we're gonna have a talk about how we can fix this going forward. And if that still doesn't do it, then they get sent down to see me, where I'm gonna have a conversation with them, and then before they are allowed to go back to that class, that students, the teacher, and myself are gonna have a restorative conversation to how to avoid any conflict going forward.
I just want to say I'm really excited. I love the holistic approach to student voice. I'm a social worker at heart in what I do for work. And so we see individuals as a holistic approach, person-centered as well. And so this is what I'm getting out of that. So I love that, and I'm excited to see how this unfolds.
Cool, thanks.
Do these interventions carry on as they go into their sophomore, junior, senior year, or what's that gonna look like as far as just moving forward and not just dropping them off, during the 9th grade program?
Yeah, so again, like we're in the infancy of it, so until we scaled it up. So after we got 9th grade, everything ironed out, working smoothly, we scaled that up for each grade, so the supports continued, and there was still grade level team meetings about kids and everything like that. But we gotta crawl before we can walk, and walk before we can run.
Well, and in theory, each year would get easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just when you start something brand new,
Right.
you know.
Right, you gotta work through it all. No, I love it. I've always felt like, we work so hard in the last 2 years to get kids to graduate, but we forget about the first 2 years. And so I love hearing that the focus is gonna be here to just scale them all the way through.
Yeah, we've been working so hard. I mean, the resources that we spend on summer school and other intervention to get ahead of that. And now we're at a place where I feel like we can get ahead of that. We're in a good space to do that, to get ahead of that and not have to worry about like catching up all the time. So,
You're not fixing problems.
yeah, we're preventing the problems. Preventative maintenance. Yeah.
And you're gonna start with the giant freshman class.
It's like, do you think it's gonna, this group Friday's gonna have a big impact out there. So I just to share, when obviously when Roman shared this experience he had, I was like, okay, I know you're dean of students, which people I often think that's discipline focused and behavior focused, but he brings some other tools and some experiences to the table that we're definitely gonna tap into and help out, because I need to help too, so I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Any other questions about anything?
I actually want to go back to the STAR report, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. I was looking at, like you said, there's a lot of numbers missing, there's a lot of tests missing in some of the older grades, especially for math, I noticed. Have you taken into account like which students have missed on the testing and how that might play into the percentiles we have here? Like, I know we have a lot in the green, which is great, but what about those ones that weren't tested? Do you have any idea where they might be falling?
I don't, that's like, so that's the learning process for me. So in the spring, I mean, obviously, data can be played in so many ways to make it look one way or to make it look another way. And you really gotta see what's going on behind that stuff. And I can present it and say, like, look at all these kids in the green, but I mean, I wanted to be transparent, say, there's a lot of kids who did saw that they tested, particularly in math. So, and math's a little bit harder too, because with after 9th grade, if they aren't successful in algebra, then they kind of end up all over the place in their math classes, because math is one of those so sequential that I just can't keep them at grade level. Like if they didn't do algebra, then geometry, and some kids did stuff online, and the kids are playing catch up, so they're not taking that because they have to catch up on other things, so they weren't in their classroom. So just better communication I have to have with the math teachers, like, okay, what kids did, how open is the window, and how do we get these kids in there? So it's a good start, but it's definitely room for improvement. There's no question about that. I think between what preventative work we're doing and then also having data to do, I mean, we're still gonna have to do maintenance along the way. We can't, just do it all up front. We're gonna minimize what we do up front, so we can take those resources and transition them and be more efficient. That's the ultimate goal. So,
And when did they take the test?
They did this, they'll take it again. We haven't picked it, I gotta be strategic about the testing window in the spring because there's also the state testing that happens for juniors, so, yeah. It says juniors, so it doesn't affect all the students, so we can change the window for
them.
juniors, yeah. And they, for the most part, the juniors they're in the same class, they're either taking algebra 2 or they're taking, statistics and probability statistics. So.
All right.
I have something for the 9GS program. So with that program, one, how long were you working on that at your previous employment?
The entire time I was there, it actually started my first year there and I was involved with it the whole time. I started just as a team member, then I became a team lead, and I took it to the alternative school where I ended up going. Now I'm here, so.
How many years with that program?
7 years, yeah.
So a good period of time. How long would you say it took before you started seeing some difference or change?
Well, I mean, difference and change is relative, you know, like we can see it in one kid in one meeting, you know, but I mean, we're seeing system-wide change. It did take a couple of years to see like the needle start moving, you know, but it's definitely well worth it. So, like, honestly, it's some of the most important work I feel I've ever been involved in education.
Powerful.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, guys.
So celebrate the senior volleyball, senior night in volleyball.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have special programs with Missy Love. I don't think you've been in front of the board yet, have you?
This is the hard one.
Right now, you're on the spot.
Good evening, I'm Missy Love. I am the assistant principal at Alfred Jumpman School, as well as a special education coordinator, and Title III ELD, I guess, coordinator, if you want to do that too. But tonight I'm here to talk about our special education numbers and any questions that you may have. I provided you with some sped numbers by grade levels. We are approximately FCS in the high school are approximately about 50 students from where we were at last year, but those 50 students fell in Java. So we're really right where we were last year at this time, but we just don't, Java has their own special education department. We have seen a pretty big increase in students coming into us from early childhood, which is birth to 5, with some significant delays and significant disabilities. We have right now about 12 students, K2, that are nonverbal, living with autism and or developmental delays. So I'm very thankful that we started, for those that are new to the board, last year we started a 612 developmental learning center, which is the building, portable building here. Our 6th through 8th graders spend half their day up at FCS for their social interaction with their same age peers. And then they come down here at lunchtime to get their specially designed instruction, mainly around life skills. How do I do chores? What does that look like? How do I cook? How do I prepare? How can I take care of myself? Because once they hit the age of 21, they're technically on their own. And right now we have about 13 of those students, including our 6th to 8th graders. So, which also has helped because those students, for new board members, we used to purchase outside placement options. So they were in Willamina, or they were in Dayton, or they were in Willamina and Dayton is pretty much, or we have one at YC right now. And we have been able to bring all of the students back except for 4 right now, which is which is huge because that number was 13 when we first started the process, which has saved, well, I'll give you one slide at the Phoenix School, which is a behavior school in McMinnville, costs $40,000 per student. So that is one area, whereas Willamina was charging us for slots, Dayton was charging us for slots, so we were able to bring those students back. As I said, SHOP has taken over their own SPED department. They hired a SPED TOSA. I meet with her on a regular basis. She's great. She's still learning. She came from, I believe, California, so she's still learning Oregon laws, because every state in the nation has different laws when it comes to eligibilities and what they require of special education departments. And Leanne is in constant contact with all their teachers as well as their TOSA, because we still have to have oversight of their paperwork. And so things have been going well there. As I said, the DLC, the Building 1 DLC has 13 students. Leslie has done an amazing job. She has a great team. The students are doing a lot of things that a normal traditional classroom would not be able to provide to students. It's a program, not a classroom per se, because it's based upon a student's needs and not, we're just going to put all the students in here and just keep them in here. It's really based upon what the child needs and what the student needs. They are, and I should also say, we brought 2 of our 8 transitional post-high students back, our 18 to 21-year-olds. So we have 2 of those students. And so they have vocational skills that they have to go to the community. So one of them is working at SHOP at daycare. She volunteers at SHOP at daycare as well as the library. The other one, we're trying to find a good placement for him. But besides that, she also takes them on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 6th period. She takes them to the food bank and they help package food. She takes them to the Nazarene Church and do the resource room up there. Last year, they went to the fire station and they helped with cleaning up the fire trucks, and eventually learned basic medical or basic first aid skills. They're going tomorrow to the pumpkin patch. We provide lots of different things. We are starting a unified sport. So last Saturday, they were at Providence Park with the Timbers learning soccer. They went to the Trailblazers facility in August, I believe, and played basketball with the Trailblazers. They'll go to Providence Park again in November, and we're trying to bring do a lot of the special Olympics, be a part of that as well, which is part of the unified sports. So like I said, FCS has 12 students of K2, well, really K5. We will have 2 students who will move up and be part of the high school next year. But all of them, so 10 of them are different kinds of programs. Some of them spend some of the days in classrooms with one-on-ones or one-on-twos, but then spend some time in the DLC to get them their life skills. We hired this year a speech and language pathology assistant, so we didn't have to go through the USD anymore, which has been phenomenal. She is bilingual, which is great. So she's going to take on some of our ELPA or English language proficiency assessments that need to be done this year, and using we'll be translating as well for us. And we have Autumn, who is our autism specialist. And we still have our speech and language pathologist, but they found me an on-site one and not one in Kentucky or Tennessee or wherever they were from. So she is actually on site, which is great. The OT, the occupational therapist, physical therapist, audiology, and vision specialists are still through the WSD. But we've kind of dwindled our needs from the WSD quite a bit, which has saved us from them. So, any questions? That was a lot of information.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
First question is about SPED numbers. You do a spring report too, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that when you get the potential for like, what's this NA for pre-K?
Yeah, pre-K is in the spring. We will start
getting numbers of who is actually in the early childhood system. I think I have a meeting coming up next week, so I know of one right now. So in the spring, we'll know more of those numbers of how many are receiving services through the WESD or through Head Start, who are already been identified as having, they call them IFSP, Individualized Family Service Plan. And at the age of 5, it turns into an individual education plan. So, yeah.
And then my second question is just a general, what is the behavioral intervention plan and how and when it's going to be?
So, okay, that's a big question. So, a behavior intervention plan or behavior service plan, or I like to call them a student success plan, is written when a school team, including the parents, need a more formalized way to make sure that the environment's set up appropriately for a student, interactions are set up appropriately for a student, and the teachings are appropriate for a student. They do not need to have an IEP for a behavior support plan. So anybody can have one if a school team finds it necessary. Usually it happens after we've tried lots of different interventions and we've met with parents many times, and we have done what we call a functional behavior assessment, where we look at, environmental factors, home factors. Do they have a medical diagnosis? Do they have, I was working on one when I was sitting back there. So, so we look at pre-existing factors, situational factors. What is causing the behavior? So that's what's called an antecedent. So what's the trigger? What is the challenging behavior? What does that look like? Any kind of challenging behavior, we want it to be observable. So what does that look like? When does it happen? Then we put our detective hats on, and why are they doing it? I'm a true believer that behavior is communication, and the child and student or even the adult are trying to communicate something with us, and they don't have the language to tell us what's going on. And then we look at, from all that stuff, we then look at what has been tried, what is working, what is not working, how can we tweak it? Is it, like the one I was just working on, the student is new to us, but there's a lot of attention-seeking behaviors. So how can, both good and bad, so how can we, as the adults, create an environment that he doesn't necessarily have to fit into, but how can we adapt the environment that meets his needs? So we're going to put on a lot of positive praise, like we do penny boards or token boards. And so can we give him, in 15 minutes, can we give him 5 positives, and then he gets to earn a break? And then, so we can bring that positive back to him instead of the negative. I'm gonna stand on the desk and scream until someone pays attention to me, and if you're gonna ignore me, then I'm gonna one up you, right? So we wanna replace those behaviors. So, but everybody has to be on that same page. And this particular student, he will teacher hop. So everybody has to be on the same page. So that's why we would write a formal behavior plan. We would also look at liking skills. What is his liking skill? Is it emotional regulation? Is it language? Is it cognitive? So a lot of those things go into effect or into play. And so what we do then is it's written, everybody who works with students, and it's followed, and then hopefully we'll see changes. If not, we are back at the table within 4 to 6 weeks, or if we see, okay, we took that behavior away, we don't see that behavior, but this one has popped up now. So what can we do then to change that as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's a lot of information. That was about 25 years of me working in behavior and one small step.
No, it came up, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna ask you here today.
And every student's different, and and it may work one day, and it's not gonna work for the next 3 days, but that fourth day it's gonna work again. And it's just trying to replace behaviors that we don't wanna see, the ones we want to see. But making sure that that child has some kind of voice, because as I tell a lot of them, if I could read their minds, I would be doing it from a beach in Hawaii and not sitting at a table. So, yeah. Mhm.
And how do you gradually replace like a penny chart of like the reward system that goes with the penny chart into, because you can't keep doing that forever, right?
No,
Like, how do you replace that?
Well, so like this one, we will start at 3, and then we'll go to 5, and then we'll go to 10, and it just, as you do, and as adults, you can kind of gauge, okay, you know at 10:15, the student really needs a break, so you're gonna give them, so at 10:15, he has that break. So you just elongate it, and after a while, it just kind of, it fades.
Okay.
It fades. And as kids get older, you really use those penny boards K2, and as they get older, 3, 5, then we kind of transfer it to more of let them kind of look at their own behavior, and then we go to trackers. And those trackers, the adults have conversations. So, hey, I see you, you're supposed to stay in your expected area. I would give you a 2 here because, you did kind of step out of the classroom. What would you give yourself? So giving them more of a, yeah. And then by middle school, they don't want it anymore. And so you just, by that time, they've matured a lot, even though they may, I love middle school, even though they may not mature to where they're supposed to be, they've matured a lot. They now know right from wrong and what they should be doing. Yeah.
Any other questions for Lucy? You guys see why I wanted her to come and talk?
And I will have to say, we have what we call census. December 1st is a big day in special education, because that is the day that they look at our numbers and then give us the funding. So December 1st is our hard number date, as well as May 4th, I think is the other one. So that is what we'll have more good numbers. Yeah. All right. All right, perfect.
Thank you
That's
so
what I'm
much.
gonna do this work then.
All right, next up is our superintendent report.
Good evening, October Superintendent Report. 3 things to go over with you tonight. It is that time of year where I need to present our annual report. This is a requirement of our submission with the Oregon Department of Education. A few years ago, the state decided to integrate our grants. We have the Student Success Act and the High School Success. And there were some narrative questions that were part of your board packet that the team helped on that they had asked us. I think I'd included those narratives. But it also important to keep in mind the student, the SIA, we are by statute required to report this progress in an open meeting. That narrative report will be posted to the website. And also that we have to report on our goals and do an analysis. So I have to hop around a bit here. And pull that up. So this is the document that I'm referring to as our narrative questions that we submitted to the state. I have to do quarterly reports, and they're usually just a question 1, question 2. And they're wanting to look at how are you succeeding towards your goals? What are your outcomes? Pat, Adam, and Ms. Sieber helped out a lot on this as we took a look at really the last year or 2 of the progress we've made. So again, this will be posted on the website. This 3rd question is the one that has to be part of the annual report, which is more of the data analysis. And then enrollment. Last month, you asked for enrollment and our class sizes. So as Ms. Missy mentioned, we're adjusting to our charter school shop and managing their own special education program, and that is going very well. But here are their enrollment numbers. They continue to grow. I had my monthly meeting with them this morning. I think they're at about 370, and they just finished up with their fall break. Their calendar is very different than ours. And they had, I think, another 15 students enroll during that break time.
Did we look up what they were last year? Because we had talked about.
No, but I can ask them to report that because they're gonna come and report to the board in December.
Oh, perfect. Maybe they can show us over the last few years.
Yeah, and they're really good about showing the pie chart of where all these students live.
Yes.
From across the state to how many live locally. So they will present that in December. All right, then our FCS class sizes we've talked about, our small kinder class, sizable difference between that and first grade. And our K-5 enrollment being 323 students. And then because of the way the configuration is with secondary programs, we look with an average class size. Now, you know, for secondary, there's some classes you want to have a good number, like your PE class or your choir, to have more students. But this is on average. There are some electives at the high school that are smaller, and Pat explained of trying to navigate the larger class sizes with the graduation requirements within the master schedule, and providing some solid electives for our high school students. All right, and then that's our K-8 enrollment, and our 6-12 enrollment is currently at 671. We are monitoring that this year just because we know the financial impact can come next year, and there will be more information in previous board reports about our fiscal situation between Karen and I as we go through the year. So we have to monitor this. It's across the state that people are anticipating budget cuts.
So what sort of drop from last year are we sitting at now? Because
It's about 50 students.
It is still.
Yep. Yeah. All right, and then this is the month that I also give the Division 22 report. This is required. I need to submit it to the state by November 15th. It is also posted on the website. And I submit that. If you had the chance to take a look at this, there are a lot of requirements. We start looking at this in August and going through it and what is our evidence and where are we at. One of the things I did decide to do is that we have 6 different program plans. And I want to get these on a cycle of when they need to be updated. So there are a couple that we're going to focus on this year. Our second language learner program, that one definitely is up for updating this year. But we dig into these, we check our instructional minutes, all our diploma requirements, all of that is part of Division 22. All right, and I believe that is my report for tonight. Do you have any questions for me?
I just wanted to ask, so for the Division 22, did you add the categories to reflect our strategic plan? Is that what, versus category, or is it just kind of goes online? It says high quality learning experiences.
Are you looking at this document?
Yeah, right there, this is 10.
Oh, and the categories. Okay, so the state gives us this.
Oh, okay.
And then we have to just check the box. Yeah, all of these are from the state. And they can vary, and sometimes they'll say, this is not applicable for this year, but you're gonna have to do it next year.
There's a few of those.
It's you know, it's this time.
But that's nice, because it's like a warning that it's coming.
Yeah,
Oh, it's just like, yeah, the header versus category, because then I saw engage partners and community, and I was like, oh, that's what aligns with our strategic plan.
yes, yeah, I try, we try to do that. Also, I was taking a look at this, and we do have this template in Spanish, and we'll have both languages on our website.
Good.
The state's kind to provide documents in multiple languages.
So the division, newbie question, Division 22 is basically the state requirements for graduation.
It's for the entire district.
Okay.
It has to do with your asbestos report, it is everything. There's a whole section on state testing. There's a section on your instructional minutes, PE minutes. And the state will change some of that. PE minutes changed years ago, and that's why we've always said we have to keep the 2 gymnasiums at Faulkner Chapman, or we will be out of compliance with PE minutes.
Okay.
And we have 2 PE teachers, so we're able to do that. So, yeah.
So that's everything.
This is everything. This is everything the state requires of the district. It's a lot.
It's very good, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right, any other questions for Dory? Okay, we're gonna move on then, onto our fiscal report. Karen, that's all you.
I really have nothing to report. The auditors will be here, the end of the month. I sent them the pre-stuff that they want, file balance and like a list of checks and all the stuff they want, so they got that. They're scheduled to be in the office for 2 days. Last year they came for 1, so we'll just see. I always get so nervous, even though I know I've not done anything wrong.
It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
But they've given you really good feedback over the years,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So,
and they're gentle.
yeah.
And, it would be real stupid if I did something. So I got that to them, gearing up for that. You know how you go to these meetings and everything's so depressing? I was in a meeting today and they were talking about, we have this thing, it's called the PBAM, the Program Budget and Accounting Manual, and it's like statewide. And right now, our account numbers have 14 digits. So anytime I have to do an account number, I write out 14. They were saying the PBAM is being reconfigured, and account numbers might go to 39 digits.
I thought you were gonna say 3.
Wow. And then someone said, well, yeah, and it's supposed to be replaced by July 1st. And so then everybody's like, well, how do I get my software manufacturer to
Update
give
that,
me
yeah.
this and all this? And so everybody's like, okay, this is just the first draft. I'm gonna do a couple meetings, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just one of those, this is
What is
so
their
annoying.
reasoning behind
It's for transparency and to make it more structured throughout the state.
Mhm.
And so what I think they're thinking is you upload it and then ODE has all the information they need to run all the different, reports that I have to submit, that maybe they can do it themselves. But
They're like tracking numbers.
I know,
But
it's crazy.
it'll have like coding right built into it, like county number,
Exactly.
year,
that? Oh, right,
date.
broke down.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
if you understand the language.
Right.
And 39 digits.
Hopefully, a lot of them are the same.
It seems like a
Yeah.
lot.
But even then, if it's like zeros, then it's like all blurs together.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that was the very interesting thing. A lot of people are talking about budgets already and having to, maybe do some reductions because there's not enough money next year and like high school success is going to get cut. So we're just watching, waiting, listening. One lady said, oh yeah, we're already working on our budgets. I'm like, oh my gosh.
We just finished ours. How are other districts handling like less students? Like we are foreseeing that financially impacting us.
It was so interesting because someone posted that like in the chat. What is your enrollment? And it was literally up, down, level, up, down. It was just so.
All over, so it doesn't
all
really
over
make
the
sense.
place. Yeah, it's so.
So maybe it's really more kids shifting than it is leaving.
Right.
Well, did you get the homeschool numbers? You were gonna look into that.
I do not have those with me tonight. The ESD was gonna send those to me, and I did get a document with those.
But even,
The ESD does have it, yeah.
Maybe we can look at it, yeah.
even looking at, Shaw's numbers keep going up.
Mhm.
And so.
Kids have to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So one example too, because I did talk to a couple of other superintendents, and in Amity, their enrollment increased because a private school made some changes in leadership and families left.
Okay.
And they went to Amity School District because it was the closest. And so it was a surprise for them to have that. But it could be changes in what is going on in the private school world and what is going on in charter world and
Yeah. That makes sense.
all of that.
There's not a lot of private schools though around here.
No, I think it might have been, I know the building is Western Mennonite. I don't know what the private school is there.
It's a Baptist, Sheridan Baptist School, I believe, the one down here.
No, the one that was, it's on the
On the
highway.
way to Salem,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's on the highway from Salem.
Yes, Westside Christian, I think.
West Side Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a change in their student population, change in their leadership and.
That makes
lots of
sense that
things
they would
like-
end up at Amity, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
So
why
those
they're
kinds of
just-
things happen.
That's all I got. Any questions?
Question, on page 4, there's a change in the instruction, 149,000, I was just curious what that was, because I could think what it might be.
Oh. This was one of the, what money did we, summer school. It was for summer learning.
Oh,
And so last month or whenever we did the resolution
okay.
to appropriate these funds.
Cool. Thank you.
Good question.
All right, any other questions for Karen? No. All right, moving on to new unfinished business. We've got work session topics up there. So do we have any? Anything y'all want to work on? Need to work on? Concerned about? If not, me and Dora will make them up. Can't promise you they'll be fun, but. Also, the next work session lands right before the conference, right?
Right, it's November 5th.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, when we set the board calendar, the work sessions are not locked in. We can cancel. We just, I felt it was best to at least have the dates there for when we needed them, because it is really, really hard to come up with a date should we need to. And that way also, there's a backup plan. If I need to have a special board meeting to have you approve something,
Right.
I can tack it onto a board work session. So, but as of right now, the 5th, if you want, we could cancel that. And because I think a couple of you are going to the OSBA conference, but the next day or that Friday, I'm not even sure, but it's right before.
What's everyone's thoughts?
On for cancel.
I haven't seen anything about the OSBA conference. I remember we signed up for,
It's the one day thing, right?
yeah,
No, it's a couple of days, yeah,
it's the big conference, right?
yeah, Friday, Saturday, and the pre-conference is Thursday.
And
We've got
then-
multiple conferences.
Yeah,
The registration for this one, was over $600, which, is a lot, and it is over the budget that the board has. And Samantha and I had talked about it. You ended up with a scholarship.
I did.
And then, Natalia, you're registered to go.
Yes. I
Okay.
think I sent stuff for the scholarship as well. I don't know if it's been approved or anything like that.
No, there was communication about the scholarship, but they only allotted like 4 across the state.
That-
I thought-
It
Well, so the
That-
weird part was, only 3 of us got an email, and then when we signed up, there was 8 slots. And I was like, so there's more. That's when I messaged you, and I was like, if there's more, then why aren't they giving them out? But you said you verified there was only 3, so.
And that
As
was,
soon as you sent me that email, I put it up, sent it back, but I never received anything in my email.
yeah.
I'll give them some feedback that whole process was very confusing.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I only applied because we had had a conversation the week before about short on funds, and then I got the email, and I was like, oh, I should throw my name in there. And then I checked the list to see if anyone else was on it already, because it said you had to be part of it already, and nobody else was on it, and that was the deadline that day, and so I just sent off the information, and then I randomly got it. I just assumed only 3 people applied.
As soon as she sent the email, I
Yeah.
sent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was after the deadline. Yeah, so you had to be a current member before you could apply for it, so. I assume too that the district office, like Dory and everyone, would get the same emails that I get, like, I didn't ask for special emails, so, but apparently I was getting special emails. But you guys should get them if you signed up for that caucus. Now, you should get them. And they're not very regular, but they'll come out, they have like monthly meetings on Zoom, that kind of thing. So it's a new caucus. They started last year, year before, so.
Maybe you before.
So they're still ironing things out. But it represents small districts, which is great because we weren't really very well represented. So it's nice to have a little more representation.
Well, since I already went to the summer one, if need be, I can always, stay back.
Yeah. Well, and I hadn't realized the cost until Dory was talking about it. And I was like, okay, are we really getting that much value or not? So.
Where is this one? This one's
Portland.
in Portland Marriott.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Unless anyone's dying to go, I guess. So work session is canceled?
Cancel it at this point.
You said November 5th.
Yes.
Yep. We have our student rep up here again, and she hurt herself this evening, I understand. So she's not able to attend, unfortunately. So we will just bump her again to next month, and hopefully she'll be all better and can come. All right, moving on to action items. I've got RNC agreement.
And we have Scott here to answer any questions you may have about this agreement. This has been a couple of months in the making with some revisions, but I think we are good to go. We have been meeting every other Monday, I think. Wow, yes. And having had our first month oversight committee that went very well on Monday night. So this is up for board approval for tonight.
I would just like to say, I love how it's very easy to read. So much information, so easy to follow. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to accept the RNC, what do we call it, management plan as presented?
I move to accept the RNC management plan as presented. Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into a vote. Jen, go ahead and call that vote.
Rick?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Samantha?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Natalia? Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, congratulations.
Welcome officially.
All right, do we need to make a motion to postpone then? Yes, since it's on there. All right, is there a motion to postpone, voting on the student representative?
I move to postpone the student representative vote until the next session if she goes.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Hearing none, go ahead and call a vote, Jen.
Natalia? Aye. Jerry?
Aye.
Samantha?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Rick?
All right, motion passes. We'll take a look at it next month. Contract for architects and engineers. What does that read as, Dory?
So we had RNC sent out the RFP, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but we had 6 companies apply. We had a team score and meet and select the top 3. Then we interviewed, and out of those interviews, all 3 were very, very qualified. It was more about which one is the good fit. And in the end, we selected Rick and their knowledge of the district and also the resources that they have. Just elevated them as our selection.
Is there a motion to accept Rick Architect for?
This is to go into contract negotiations. We need the board's approval. So I kind of wrote that out. That's, we did a motion to recommend.
Is there a motion? Yes, somebody read that. Say, I so move that we.
I move that we go into contract negotiations with Rick for the AD bond projects.
Is there a second? Perfect. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move into a vote. Jen, go ahead and call that vote.
Ray?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Samantha?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Natalia?
Right, motion passes. All right, next up, we are going to go into executive session via ORS 192660. And that is to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. So, I.e. Lori, so. Thank you all for coming.
Just to refresh my memory, you
Hold on,
have to
we're
say that.
I do have to say that,
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I was
that's why I
thinking.
read it, yeah.
Yeah. it has to.
But, we're gonna go offline.
Would it be better to just turn it off or end the stream?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Stephen, you'll have to leave.
Oh.